This is the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they reach us here. We'll talk through those in the next half hour with the editor of Politics Home, Kevin Schofield, and Sophie Jarvis, policy advisor at the Adam Smith Institute. Before we have a chat, let's just run you through some of the front pages. And the Eye leads with Pope Francis and his visit to Ireland with the headline, Pope begs for forgiveness. The Times front page claims airlines are avoiding delay payouts and maintaining punctuality standards by lengthening flight times. Labour's Keir Starmer has told The Guardian the government would risk creating an unsustainable legal vacuum if Britain leaves the EU without a deal. For the Financial Times, reports Uber is planning to shift its attention from cars to electric scooters and bikes as part of its long-term strategy. In the Daily Express, the daughter of a British couple who died on holiday in Egypt demands the truth. For The Telegraph, a story about a breakthrough drug to tackle the obesity crisis and combat middle-age spread. Daily Star has a piece about portaloos lining the motorways in the event of a Brexit no deal. And The Sun has a story about a race row on Strictly. Well, let's talk through those, or some of those at least, with Kevin and Sophie. Good evening. Nice to see you both. Should we talk Uber to begin with on the front of the Financial Times?
Yeah, so most people associate, I guess, Uber, particularly if you live in London or the cities where Uber is prevalent, with it being a sort of online taxi firm. Essentially, you order it on your app. But they're looking to expand now. They've already moved into food takeaway, being brought to your house via Uber. And now they're moving on to bikes or e-bikes. So you might see them in various cities. You certainly have them in London where you can, on your phone, you can order a bike. Essentially, you find out where the nearest one of the bikes is to you. You pick it up and you can take it wherever you want, wherever you need to be, and then just leave it. And then it's locked, and then it's picked up by the next person.
Isn't that a bit like a Boris bike?
It's the same idea. I mean, where I live in West London, Ealing, West London, there is I don't know what they're called, but they're like Boris bikes. Yeah, there's a different colour, but you see them all over the place, and basically people just pick them up when they need to order it, pay for it on their phone, get from A to B, as I say, and then just leave it, and the next person takes it.
I think it's a great idea. Congestion's really bad in London at the moment. I think the average speed is about 9 miles per hour. So I think this is really going to help. I don't think the driver's going to be too happy, though, obviously, are
No,
they?
they're saying they're acknowledging that, obviously, it's doing the driver. So previously, where you might have got an Uber for a short journey, you might use a bike instead, so clearly the driver's not going to get paid for that. But they're saying that Uber as a brand will benefit because more people will use them more often, so therefore in the longer term they might actually make more money out of it. But I didn't realise that the company made loss of £4.5 billion last year, which is astonishing. And apparently it's preparing to share flotation.
Yeah.
So this is all part of boosting the brand and making it less associated with, well, not primarily associated with cars.
I mean, you think the brand has been damaged, Sophie, because of all the hoo-ha there's been in London over their licensing?
Yeah, I think definitely. But as a consumer, I think they're great, and I think people like Sadiq Khan, who are always trying to bash Uber, I think he just sort of doesn't realise the alternative is London black cabs, which as a woman, I much prefer getting Ubers because they're safe. You can log it, you can track it, whereas you can't really get that with London black cabs. So I think the black cab lobby is quite, in my opinion, a bit fishy and wrong. So I'm actually a big advocate of Uber. So.
And they've actually forced, I think, black cabs to up their game because now if you don't have cash, you can pay by card.
And you have the app as well, the Get app, so you can sort of order black cabs to you. But I think for me, it's just a safety aspect in London black cabs, and even with the app, I just don't feel as safe in a black cab because
That's interesting. Interesting. OK, let's look at the Express, should we? Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe back in jail in Tehran. I mean, we thought we were told only this morning that this could have been extended.
Well, exactly, and so was she. And I think it was even as early as this morning, she was sort of saying this. The Iranian government said, "Oh, you know, you can stay out a bit longer," and then within 10 minutes later, they sort of took that away from her. So I think they're really toying with her. And I mean, this woman has been through so much. She had a breast cancer scare earlier on this year. They're just really toying with her over there. It's awful. And obviously, she wasn't helped by Boris Johnson's clumsy remarks earlier on in this case. But I was speaking to a few sources in the sort of international aid sector, and they were saying they're so much happier they've got Jeremy Hunt as Foreign Secretary now as opposed to him. So I think this particular incident isn't very good, but I think on the whole, hopefully we will see her be released soon.
I mean, where are we in terms of the Foreign Secretary being able to push and make some progress on this? I mean, as he said in his tweet today, you know, she is an innocent woman. Well, that's not what the Iranians think, but the evidence against her is very slim.
It's pretty flimsy, but the legal process, being as it is in Iran, suggests that there isn't a lot that can be done as we would ordinarily see it in order to prove her innocence. Her fate is essentially in the hands of the Iranian authorities. And just on a human level, I mean, the picture there of her saying goodbye to her daughter, Gabriella, who she hadn't seen for 2.5 years, certainly able to hold her for the first time in 2.5 years, and then for her only to spend 3 or 4 days with her. I mean, there's the picture down the bottom is when she was first released, and then she's having to say goodbye. I mean, just as I say, as a parent, on a human level, it's just utterly heartbreaking.
I think she yelled at the deputy prosecutor today, and she sort of said, "How can you take my baby away from me again?" So I think she's really obviously very upset.
And it's particularly tough for our daughter as well, who, you know, just obviously won't be able to understand what's going on.
But I think Iran have got up to about 30 people imprisoned due to espionage, British citizens. So it's not just her, there are lots of others. And they're in this, she in particular is in this awful prison, Evin prison, which has been known to torture and do lots of horrible things to people in there.
And you've got to imagine there'll be the usual back channels will be in operation, so there'll be talks behind the scenes between the Foreign Office and the
There's got to be
authorities.
something. Well, he spoke
so far, the
Foreign Secretary spoke to the Iranian Foreign Minister, didn't he? But obviously not enough. That was on Friday, I think, but not enough progress has been made. Can we have a look at this? This is also on the Express, because it wouldn't be a Monday morning in the papers without a bit of Brexit.
Of course. Yeah, so this is, I mean, we've seen a lot of stories in the last 2 or 3 years of so-called entryism in the Labour Party, far-left infiltration, alleged infiltration of the Labour Party by far-left activists. We're now seeing potentially the same thing happening in the Conservative Party, where you have hard Brexiteers who up until now were associated with UKIP, people like Aaron Banks there, who earlier this week we were told the Tories had blocked him. But he has encouraged 90,000 members of the Leave.eu campaign, which was the campaign that he helped fund, or basically bankrolled it, to join the Tory party to vote in an upcoming leadership election as and when
if there was one.
If there is one, which I anticipate there will be within the next... Certainly within the next 12 months, I'd be amazed if there wasn't.
This is something, the idea of all these sort of new people coming into the party. This is what Ian Duncan Smith warned about earlier on this week. He sort of said this is a bad idea, like, look what's done to Labour. And these, what I would call sort of Brexit extremists may, if, you know, it looks like they are flooding in, and that could destroy the party like it has done with the Labour Party.
But the argument that we've had with Labour and Momentum, and presumably we can have now with the Conservatives, isn't this actually democracy? This is real people getting involved in politics and wanting to have their voices heard.
Well, it's not how our democracy has typically run, and I think perhaps other parties, the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, should maybe look to adopt the policy that Lib Dems have, which is where you need to be a member for 12 months before you actually can vote on a leader. And I think, to me, that makes far better sense. We vote MPs in every few years. I don't really see why the members should be controlling the party policies. That's what we vote MPs in for.
It just shows as well that the genie, once the genie is out the bottle, you know, Brexit, we voted for Brexit, the Conservative Party is now having, as the government is having to implement Brexit, and, you know, it's tearing itself apart, and it's very, very difficult to see now how the sort of mainstream establishment of the Conservative Party, I think, manages to contain this civil war, essentially, and this will only add further fuel to it, which is fascinating for guys like me. But in terms of, if you're a Conservative Party manager, you look at what's happened to the Labour Party and you see, oh my goodness, is this now going to happen to us as well? But as you say, it's grassroots people want to have a say.
The Civil War's been going on for decades. Europe's always torn apart the Tory party. I think now it is just coming to a head, and who knows which way it's going to go.
None of us. None of us. It keeps us all on our toes.
Not even them.
No. Let's finish off with the Telegraph, front of the Telegraph, and this breakthrough pill. Oh, it could beat the middle-age spread. I need to start popping that immediately.
But you had to ask what that was.
What?
I didn't know what that... But I thought that it must mean the tummy.
Well, it does. It does.
Yes, yeah.
Your time will come, Sophie. Your time will come.
But it's only in America. This diet pill, and it costs around about £220 a month if you translate it into GBP. We don't have it on the NHS yet, and we don't indeed have any appetite suppressants available on the NHS. But they've had some amazing results. Sort of within a few weeks, they can drop as much as £9, which is where if you just sort of eat a bit more healthily and move a bit more, you tend to drop about £3. So it sounds pretty good. Sounds like they're calling it the Holy Grail.
And it also helps you to keep it off as well, so it's not just a question of a short hit of losing weight. They went back to the people who they tested months later and did actually manage to keep it off. So,
right.
So there we go.
So it helps where the willpower fails.
Absolutely. If you don't fancy the whole health eating and exercise bit, just
I think people just should do that. People just should be healthy and they should move a bit more.
Yeah, but what it does is there's a thing in your brain, apparently, as you get older, it's harder to... you don't feel full, which means you eat more. So this pill...
Is that true?
This pill works as a trigger.
I've got an excuse now.
It makes you feel full.
Well, it's definitely worse for women when we take the contraceptive pill. That sort of increases our appetite.
Does it?
Is that right?
Yeah, women always do.
No, we haven't got a clue.
They tried the contraceptive pill recently with men, and one of their main complaints was that they put on weight. And you can imagine women were just sat there thinking, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's fair. That's a fair point, then. Yeah, there you go. OK, on that note, we need to take a short break. You two will be back in just a moment, including why airlines avoiding delay payouts to us. Well, this is the press preview. We're talking through the papers with the editor of Politics Home, Kevin Schofield, and Sophie Jarvis from the Adam Smith Institute. And let's have a look at the front of the Times, should we? And airlines avoiding payouts.
Yeah, this is an incredible story, which the Consumer Campaign Group have done a study of the length of air travel, basically air journeys, how long they take, and they've found that over the last 10 years, air journeys have actually got longer, despite the fact that technology has improved and theoretically it should be quicker. Yeah. And they are suggesting this might be because airlines have to pay out if you're late by a certain amount of time.
So they're not actually, so they're not longer in real terms.
No,
they're just longer when you're booking.
So they're saying you'll land at, say, 20 past, when in actual fact you're going to land probably at 5 past.
They build in a lot of fat, basically, so that if they are delayed, they don't have to pay out, because there was a recently relatively new EU directive that said that if you're flying within the EU, I think you get like 300 quid if your flight's delayed from up to over 3 hours. But what they obviously do is they just build in fat time to avoid paying out.
That's just sensible, though. I mean, from a business not from our perspective, but from a business perspective, that just makes sense.
Well, it saves them money, but they are completely rejecting this, and they're saying it's because the skies are more congested, they're flying more slowly in order to save fuel, which keeps down the price of a ticket.
Okay. Well, I was on a flight the other day, and they over-egged it by a whole hour, and we got
there.
Really?
Yeah, and we were delayed, so they were clearly... So I have had first-hand experience of this. But I've had loads of payouts from airlines too.
Have you?
So, and they used to be a lot better, but they now have services that you have to apply to, and they obviously take a bit of a cut if you want to get the money back. So I think they are making it more and more difficult as more and more people find out you can actually get your money back.
Oh, it's interesting. I've never really had any money from an airline. Oh, I'd like some. Looking at... It's also in the Times... looking at Senator McCain, and the tributes today have been really very nice and very touching. Apart from we eventually got one from the White House, which didn't say a great deal.
No, and I think I think that's the issue, that that Trump just sort of said his remarks were as short as deepest sympathies and respect for his family. Although some people were criticising Obama's words as well, because he sort of spoke about the relationship between him and McCain when they were both running against each other in 2008. And some people sort of said, look, this isn't about you, Obama, this is about McCain. So Obama too has come under some criticism as well.
I mean, I just think it just shows again that Donald Trump, you know, you'd think on an occasion like this, we know that they didn't see eye to eye, to put it mildly, but you would have thought that when he passed, that he might have found it within himself to...
Well, except the hypocrisy would have been levelled at him, because, I mean, he did say that... Didn't he say that John McCain wasn't a war hero because he was captured? He was just a prisoner.
I mean, it was just...
So, I mean, whether you agree with that sentiment or not, and clearly most people wouldn't, if he then turned around and was very effusive after his passing, you could just say he was jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, although he could have given a nod to them having their disagreements in the past. So obviously, since Donald Trump's been elected, John McCain, very independently minded Republican senator, has put a stick in the spokes on a few occasions to try and block Trump legislation. So I think there's ways that he could have acknowledged that, but being the bigger man and being a bit more effusive in his praise.
I think one of the most telling videos I've ever seen of John McCain was when he was on the 2008 election trail, and this sort of bigoted woman in the audience asks him a question. She sort of says, "You know what? I just really don't trust Obama because he's an Arab," and John McCain just takes the microphone off her and just really shuts her down.
That is quite. I mean, that's quite a moving. We had a clip of that on the Sky News app, I think, because I mean that is actually quite a moving little bit of footage of him standing up for his opponent.
Well, it's just the complete opposite of what someone like Trump and you might even go as far to say Jeremy Corbyn. When you have got voters there that are clearly acting out of line, being racist or whatever, and that he's just turning around and saying, no, you know what, I don't even care about your vote. He cares about what's right. And that's something that our politics is bereft of.
It's like a completely different era now.
Entirely different, yeah.
It's so,
We're very, very nearly out of time. So can we have a very quick look at wrinkles, please, Kevin?
Ooh. Yeah, well, apparently the wrinkles that you have on your forehead are a sign about whether you will have a heart attack. Apparently, you're 10 times as likely to die of heart disease if you have forehead wrinkles. The experts have said it's a perfectly simple way of diagnosing potentially people who are at risk of a heart attack.
That's awful. The next time you find a wrinkle, you'll think that's really bad, and then it's like super duper bad because of this as well.
I think we all need to be careful of our health in general, but not try and predict too much, because honestly, you can always predict the worst. It's been good to see you both. Thank you. We'll catch you a little bit later on.